Hi everyone, it's Karen Anderson here, part of the Arden Creative Studios design team. A little while ago I shared a little video of a flip through of a little pocket mini album, and it was just a flip through, and there's been quite a few requests for a more detailed video about how to make it with some instructions. And as we've just launched the Christmas lines, I've remade it with the Christmas lines. So this is a version made with Season of Joy, and I'm going to take you through the steps of how to make your own mini pocket album. So let's go. So this is the Christmas mini pocket album. And it showcases the stunning designs on the Season of Joy pattern papers. Oh my goodness, they're just beautiful. So we have a flap front cover, which when we lift that up reveals a torn strip of PET tape and some of the stunning Season of Joy rub-ons. And then the bottom flap, these are from the PET tape, the Kiss Cut poinsettias. And then we've got the inside left cover, which I've used just a couple of little strips to embellish. And then these are die cuts and a little bit of clear plastic. And again, the Kiss Cut PET tape. And then inside from the die cuts, there are these beautiful little tags. This is a laser cut and the die cut envelope, which is cut in such a way that you can actually post things inside. How stunning is that? Okay, let's go to, I'm going to keep this as a bit of a reveal. So this is the other side pocket, and we have an angled pocket where I've tucked a couple of tags that are from the embellishment packs and a little title. And then let me do again, here's the middle. So I've made a little pocket with a notch, and then some cards that are cut from pattern paper and a tag. And then the bottom of the pocket is sealed off with a strip of PET tape. But then, are you ready for this? Check this out. There's a series of pages made with dies. Then from the Maker Series ornament dies. And so I've used all of the sizes because why not? And then they're all embellished. In my previous version, I added a simple page, just a folded page, and I'll talk you through how you can add either this or a folded page, because you might not always want to do something Christmassy, but oh, how gorgeous is this? Anyway, should we get started? Okay, so that's the first cut. So it's it will be the back and the two side flaps, and it's 5.5 by 11.5, and we're making sure that any design that has got a definite direction to it will be running, so that when we fold these sides in, you'll be able to read them the right way up. Okay with that? So that's 5.5 by 11.5. And then we're going to score this at 3.25 and then 3.5, and then at 8 and at 8.25. And you might be wondering, Karen, why do we need to do these two of these score marks so close to each other? But that's what makes the space within the mini album so that you can have pages inside and still be able to close it. This, we're going to corner round all of these spare edges, and if you're into inking, this would be a good time to ink all your edges. We're now going to move on to the top flap. So the top flap in the sample, that's got really lovely piece of design from the patterned paper, which I have here. So I'm going to orientate it so I know where I want to cut it. And we're going to cut this to 4.5 wide by 5 high. So the album is 4.5 wide. So the flap is going to be 4.5 wide. And then by 5 high. We're going to score this piece at 1 inch from the top edge and 1.25. So everything we score has got an additional score line at 1/4. So it's 1 inch and 1.25. Again, pay attention to where you're scoring. We want to have that design in the main part, on the main part of our flap. So we're going to score 1 inch from this edge here. There we go. So again, we've got that nice bit of space to allow us to embellish and add pages. Again, we'd corner around, and that will be ready to add to the top. And let's do the bottom flap now. So we're going to go into this piece, and we need, for the bottom flap, 4.5, which is the width again, by 3.5. And we're going to score again at 1 inch and 1.25 to give us that nice bit of space for all of our fun embellishments. So here we go again. So we've got our top flap, our bottom flap, and then we also have our front cover left and right page, or base and left and right page. And really what we're going to do now is we're going to glue this to the inside of the top and the inside of the bottom. And what I'd suggest you do is take just a tiny diagonal sliver off, I don't know if you can see here, a tiny diagonal sliver off this, the little short flap, just to protect the space that you've created inside. So we're going to glue this in here and to make sure it's not going to catch as we fold these in. So there we have the two sides and the top and bottom all attached. The final thing for the basic assembly is to cut from your scraps. This is still all from the same sheet of 12 by 12 paper, to cut a 2 by 4.5 piece of pattern paper, and to just take a little piece of a circle with a punch out of the center, and with a thin line of adhesive or with some really narrow tape, attach that on the base of the album, and then a 3 by 3 inch square, and then just cut a diagonal piece off. It really doesn't matter what you cut off, because no one's going to be comparing yours to mine and saying, oh, it's not been done right. And the only thing you need to do here is to corner round this bottom right corner so that it marries up with the rounded corner in your album. Glue that in, and then you're ready to have some fun with adding embellishments and more pages. So I'll be back to talk about adding the extra pages. Okay, so for the internal pages, we have some options. We have super easy, intermediate, and then wowzers. So super easy is to cut a page from the Season of Joy paper pad, and these are perfect. You could probably get 2 pages out of this. And I've cut, let me just quickly measure, 4.5 by 5.5 and rounded the corners. And then I've just done a like a 1/4 of an inch of additional score, and then that would just be glued in inside, whichever side you want it to go. Round off your corners, and there you are. So that's the super easy, just cut 1 page out of patterned paper. The next option is to cut a folded page, so you get 2 pages, and I've cut this one at 8 by 5.5 and scored it in the middle. And that way I'm going to get 2 pages. And what I would suggest you do here, I've done an 1/8 of an inch score, 2 score lines an 1/8 of an inch apart. If you're super accurate with your glue, you could glue it. But what I prefer to do, as someone who loves to sew, is I love to stitch this in. And it makes it, it adds a little bit of texture to the spine. It also makes sure you don't have any glue overspill and you get that kind of messiness on your inside of your album. If you like hand sewing, you could hand sew this, and just nice big stitches, and sew on your machine, longer stitch length, and straight down, and tie off and glue your ends. So that's your intermediate option. It's not very difficult, is it? But you get a little bit more space to decorate. And then the third and sort of va-va-voom one is using the baubles die. Now you can see that the bauble die is a little higher. Is it easy to see here? It's a little higher than this album gives you space for. Just trim it to size. So just snip off. It's a straight cut, top and bottom, if you make that more or less even. And then what I've done is clipped these all together, and you might need a couple of paper clips or bulldog clips all on one side. I've clipped them to hold them together, and then just like the folded page, I've put them in that side crease, and then I've sewn using my sewing machine. Just to show you that, if I show you here, here it is. It's sewn in with some green thread, and here inside it's sewn in. Oh, there's a bit of a wobbly line there, but stitched in with some green thread, and that keeps that really nice. You could glue it in, but I haven't found anybody who can do a glue line as thin and accurate as a stitch line is. So those are the ways of adding pages, and the rest is decorating. Let's recap the sizes of the paper that you'll need to cut. So we have, from your main paper, this is the one that's going to form the let's go to the plain one. It's going to form this part of your mini album with the 2 side flaps. From your main paper, you're going to cut one piece 5.5 by 11.5, and then along the length you're going to score it 3.25, 3.5, 8 and 8.25, so that you get those little spaces for all your additional bits and bobs. So that's your left flap, your back and your right flap. For the top flap, you're going to cut a piece 4.5 by 5, and you're going to score at 1 inch and 1.25 inch. And what you're going to remember is, if you've got a nice piece of design that you want on the free edge of your flap, score from the other side. That's your 1 inch and your 1.25. And then for your bottom flap, you're going to cut a piece that's 4.5 by 3.5, and you're going to score again at 1 inch and 1.25. And then from your scraps, you're going to cut a piece that's 2 by 4.5, and you're going to notch out using a circle die. And then you're going to make a little diagonal pocket here by cutting a piece that's 3 by 3 and just trimming off a piece diagonally. And then the rest is just a load of fun and games. To close the album, I picked a few of the die cuts and I put them on some 3D foam, and then I've got some baker's twine, and then they just wrap around, and that keeps it closed. It's not under a huge amount of tension. That's fine. How lovely would this be if you send out like an annual family letter? How lovely would it be to send it in something like this, where you pop a photograph on a tag in here and you tuck your annual family letter in here, letting everybody know what you've been up to. Or you have some cards in here ready to put teeny little printed photos as you count down for Christmas. Or this would be lovely included in something like a December daily album, if you needed space to journal more or include more photos. Or even this could go alongside a photo on a scrapbook layout as a way of getting your journaling on the page but still keeping it private. I had so much fun making this, and I'm so glad that you've enjoyed it and asked for the instructions, because I'm more than happy to help. Have fun. Show us what you made. We'd love to see. Take care now.